Brutal moment, billionaire sees Maid protecting his father, then the shocking truth comes out. The mansion loomed like a giant, eerie shadow against the twilight sky, its opulence clashing with an undercurrent of palpable tension. Inside stayed secrets, whispers trapped within gilded walls. It began with a scream, echoing through the marble halls, drawing attention like a magnet. Everyone rushed towards the source, hearts racing in pure chaos. The billionaire, Marcus Kincaid, stood frozen in shock, eyes wide. What he saw was beyond belief. His father, frail and gasping for breath, was being fiercely defended by Rose, the maid, as if she alone held the key to his survival. The kitchen was a whirlwind of alarms, water boiling over and the clanging of pots cascading like a symphony of confusion. But no one noticed the frantic sparks in Rose's eyes. She wasn't just a maid, she had become a guardian angel, shielding Marcus's father from the chaos of the world. Why was she so desperate? Why wasn't anyone else there? There was something deeper, an unspoken bond that wrapped around them both like a silken shroud. As Marcus took a step closer, the room fell eerily silent. Everyone held their breath, transfixed by the moment. Rose's hands were trembling as she wiped the sweat off his father's brow, her expression a mixture of fear and determination. The air crackled with unasked questions, curiosity hung heavy, thick as the aroma of burnt coffee. What did she know? What was this secret dance between them? The truth began to settle like a weight in Marcus's chest, constricting with the fear of betrayal. Just then, the door creaked open, revealing the frantic doctor, but the tension ricocheted. What is going on? He demanded, but nobody could find their voice. Marcus felt a lump rise in his throat. All along, the family buried itself in lies, yet here was Rose so fierce and unwavering, like a lioness defending her cub. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the doctor rushed in to take control, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. What lay behind that protective glare in Rose's eyes? What history intertwined their fates? As she locked eyes with him, a cascade of questions tumbled into his mind. This was more than a mere maid's duty, it felt like a pivotal moment, a horrible truth waiting to be unveiled. What had been hidden in endless silence? Would Marcus be ready to face it? Everything was about to change. The doctor lunged forward, his presence slicing through the tension like a knife. Stand back, he commanded as he assessed the situation. The stream of anxious guests parted reluctantly, revealing a scene that felt too charged, too intimate, like an uncomfortable secret laid bare. Marcus's heart pounded in his chest, chaos swirling around him. He took a few steps forward, but Rose shook her head, her eyes pleading. You don't understand. She whispered fiercely, her voice raw under the weight of fear. He can't know. What can't he know? The words slipped from Marcus's lips, heavy with frustration and confusion. 1,000 thoughts raced through his mind. Did she know something crucial about his father's health? Or was there something darker afoot? He was desperate for answers that seemed just out of reach. The doctor moved swiftly, positioning himself beside Marcus's father. Sir, I need you to focus on me, he said sharply, his voice firm as he began checking vital signs. Rose's old resolve faltered, and her hands trembled, barely holding fast to the man's decline. Everyone watched, breathless. The air tinged with an electric anticipation, a lost home of whispers and unthinkable truths. Marcus turned his gaze towards Rose, his mind churning. What secrets had forged this fiery connection between them? Why are you protecting him? Marcus finally asked, not caring that everyone was listening. He saw the shift in Rose's expression, a crack in her composure. "What do you know about my father that I don't?" His voice cracked just a little, a mixture of fear and anger fueling his urgency. At that moment, the doctor's brow furrowed deeply as he examined the frail man. "He's slipping away," he announced, his voice carrying the gravity of a death knell. "We need to act fast." The words spilled into the room, heavy and cold. "I swear I can help him," Rose suddenly declared, stepping closer, challenge blazing in her eyes. "It's not too late, but you'll have to trust me." Her sincerity pulled Marcus in, a fragile thread of hope amidst the chaos. But Marcus hesitated, torn between family ties and the unknown depths of Rose's plea. "Trust? You've known him for what, 2 years? How do I even know you're not?" His words trailed off, the image of betrayal wrapping around him like a vice, but before she could respond, a sound shattered the fragile moment. A loud crash came from the other end of the kitchen. All eyes darted toward the noise, hearts pounding as shadows darted through the doorway. Panic erupted as it became clear, something had been disturbed. In the whirlwind of reaction, Rose reached for Marcus, her grasp firm but trembling. "Don't let anyone in here. We need to protect him." "What is happening?" Marcus shouted over the chaos, caught in a web of danger and indecision. A knot tightened in his gut as the realization hit him there was more to this than he had ever imagined. Suddenly, a scream rang out, piercing through the suffocating tension. The crowd froze. What other threats lay hidden in the depths of this lavish prison? What had Marcus overlooked in his sheltered life? Rose was the only ally he had, but could he really trust her when the stakes were this high? As the door creaked open again, bringing dread along with it, the question loomed heavy in the air: was the truth lurking within the shadows, or had his entire world just begun to crumble? The kitchen door swung wide, creaking ominously as if announcing the entry of something foul. Marcus's breath caught in his throat as a figure ducked beneath the doorway, silhouetted against the chaos. A woman, wild-eyed and panting, clutched a broken chair leg, a makeshift weapon that dripped with the promise of violence. "What the hell is going on?" Her voice cut through the frenzy, sharp and demanding. "Stay back!" the doctor yelled, his head snapping up to confront the intruder. "We have a critical situation here." "Critical?" "More like catastrophic." She spat back, her gaze shifting to Rose. "You shouldn't be here. You have to leave." Everyone fell silent, tension twisting like a knife in the air, each person locked in their own dance of fear and uncertainty. "Who are you?" Marcus demanded, confusion swirling. "What do you know?" "I know more than you ever will." The stranger snapped, stepping closer with a manic energy. "And right now, she's playing a game that could end lives, yours included." Rose's expression darkened. "You don't understand what's at stake here," she blurted, her voice trembling yet resolute. The wild woman threw back her head, laughter hoarse and bitter. "This isn't just about him, Rose. It's about everything you've lied about." Marcus felt the room tilt. Lies? This was spiraling into something he couldn't grasp. He turned to Rose, pleading. "What's happening? What's she talking about?" I she stammered, her confidence faltering as the weight of Marcus's gaze bore down on her. "Enough!" the doctor interjected, urgency lacing his tone. "We need to focus. If you don't trust each other now, he might not last long enough for any of this to matter." Marcus's heart raced as he fought to make sense of it all. The vision of his father, barely clinging to life, crushed against the backdrop of this unfolding horror. Suddenly, a piercing wail echoed through the hall. It felt like the end, like something truly devastating was about to happen. "Do you even care?" the wild woman shouted, eyes flashing with a mixture of fury and pity. "This isn't the time for secrets. Not with darkness closing in." "What do you know?" Marcus hissed, desperation creeping into his voice. I know you're all wrapped up in a web far thicker than you can imagine. She exclaimed, each word hitting like a slap. You think this is about your father's health? Think again. This goes deeper and it's dangerous. The words hung in the air, stark and chilling. Marcus's heart hammered. Rose's hand tightened around his, her nails pressing into his skin. There was urgency in her grip. He could sense her fear. It was a choice he had to make fast. Was she the enemy, or was she the only salvation? Marcus, listen to me. Rose implored, desperation spilling into her voice. I swear, every moment counts. Just trust me this once. Trust? After all this? The concept felt foreign, a fragile gift he couldn't bear to give. With a roar from the crowd, another crash sounded, closer this time. The air turned thick with panic. Run! The wild woman shouted. Get out of here while you can. A chill raced down his spine as panic surged anew. What was lurking in the shadows? Questions overlapped in his mind like echoes. Who could he trust when the truth was already so twisted? With every passing second, life slipped away from his father. The weight of choices pressed against him like an avalanche poised to crush everything he loved, and then it clicked, a powerful, terrible realization. What aren't you telling me? He asked Rose, voice low and urgent, but before she could respond, a deafening crash rang out, reverberating through the room and shaking the walls. The reality they all faced crumbled like ash, the truth sliding away into the night. More than secrets lay hidden. What if, just what if, the fight for salvation hinged on a choice he never thought he would have to make? He took a breath, ready. The pieces were about to fall into place, and he could feel the darkness stalking ever closer. What kind of monster lived in the shadows? As he prepared to confront the unknown, the door behind them burst wide, leaving Marcus on the edge of the abyss. The door slammed against the wall, sending splinters flying across the room. A figure emerged, dark and foreboding, cloaked in shadows that seemed to cling to him like a second skin. The air thickened with a tension so palpable it felt like a hand closing around Marcus's throat. He stepped back instinctively, his heart pounding like a drum in a storm. Get back, the wild woman hissed, shifting her stance, chair leg poised defensively. The new arrival laughed, a low and sinister sound that scraped across Marcus's nerves. You think you can protect them with that? His voice was honeyed, yet the malice behind it was unmistakable. He stepped into the flickering light, a tall man with sharp features, eyes gleaming like shards of ice. Who are you? Marcus asked, struggling to keep his voice steady. Just a friend, the man replied, an unsettling smile twisting his lips. Or perhaps a foe? Depends on how you look at it. His gaze flickered to Rose, and an intensity ignited in the air. Things are getting complicated, aren't they? Enough games. The wild woman shouted, her patience fraying. This isn't the time for your theatrics. Marcus clutched Rose's hand tighter, searching her face for some explanation. But her eyes were wide, betraying fear he had never seen before. What do you know about my father? Marcus demanded, locking eyes with the man. What's happening to him? Ah, the sickly father. The one whose life hangs by a thread. The stranger's tone dripped with mockery, and Marcus could feel the heat of rage bubbling beneath the surface. Stop it. Just stop. Rose finally interjected, her voice breaking. This isn't helping anyone. The wild woman stepped forward, eyes fierce. What you don't know could kill you. And him. She pointed the chair leg toward the stranger. Tell us what you're hiding. The tension erupted as the stranger stepped back, putting on an act of mock surrender. Hiding? I'm just here for the show. He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, a predator amused by the struggles of its prey. Suddenly, the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness for an agonizing moment. The stark white walls transformed into a cave of uncertainty. Heart racing, Marcus strained to hear anything to guide him. A low hiss broke through the deafening silence, almost lost beneath the pounding of his heart. Rose's grip on him faltered. I can't do this," she whispered, choking on the words. The lights returned, and every face had twisted, revealing a mix of fear and determination. The room pulsed with a shared dread, and the air crackled with electricity. "Someone is coming," the man said, still grinning, savoring their terror. "The real question is, how will you all survive when the truth comes crashing down?" As he spoke, an ominous crash echoed from somewhere deep in the house, sending a tremor through the floor. It felt like a warning, a grim prelude to a chaos that could erupt at any moment. "Is this just a game to you?" Marcus shouted, anger rising. "Lives are on the line. My father's life." The man straightened, his expression shifting to one of mock empathy. "Does that matter to you, Marcus? Or is this just about uncovering the truth?" Desperation surged within him. He needed answers, clarity in this whirlwind of uncertainty. "What truth? What do I need to know?" The man leaned in, his voice low. "You're closer than you think. Just remember, not everything is as it seems." As he stepped back, an unnerving laugh escaped him, drowning in the chaos of the moment. Marcus's mind raced. Was it possible that this stranger held the key to saving his father, or was he just another layer of deceit? "Run!" The wild woman shouted again, eyes wide with fear, the urgency cutting through the tension like a flame through fog. Marcus had to decide: run and find safety, or confront the darkness that loomed over them both physically and emotionally. Would he be strong enough to face the truth, or would his choices lead him deeper into the abyss? With breath shallow and racing thoughts across his mind, Marcus felt the looming presence of darkness closing in, swallowing the room whole. What awaited him on the other side of the door sent shivers down his spine. As the air thickened with dread, he realized time was running out, and the monsters were clawing to get in. Chaos erupted as Marcus tore his gaze from the sinister figure. The wild woman's command echoed in his ears, and instinct kicked in. Without thinking, he grabbed Rose's hand and sprinted for the door. Heart thundering, he dragged her along, desperate to escape the madness that surrounded them. "Where are we going?" Rose gasped, stumbling slightly. "Anywhere but here," he shouted back, adrenaline fueling his every step. The sound of heavy, crashing footsteps resonated from the depths of the house, like a beast awakening from a long slumber. The stranger's laughter followed them, chilling Marcus to his core. "You can run, but the truth has a way of finding you even in the darkest corners." Just as they reached the hallway, the power surged again, plunging the house back into darkness. Marcus froze, panic washing over him. The stench of fear washed over him like a cold wave, and he turned to Rose, her face illuminated by the faint glow of a distant light. "Stay close to me," he whispered fiercely, gripping her hand tighter. They stumbled toward the light, the sounds of their panicked breaths filling the silence. Then, they rounded a corner and saw a flicker of movement. The wild woman was gone. "Where did she go?" Marcus asked, scanning the shadows. "It doesn't matter. We need to keep moving," Rose urged, her voice trembling, but Marcus hesitated, torn between fleeing and searching for their ally. If the wild woman had left, was it out of cowardice or necessity? He'd only just met her, but a part of him felt an unexplainable connection. Suddenly, another crash resonated from deep within the house, louder, closer this time. They exchanged panicked glances. "What was that?" Marcus whispered, voice barely above a breath. "Maybe the others?" Rose suggested, her eyes wide as she looked behind them. Before Marcus could respond, a door at the end of the hallway flung open with a loud bang, revealing a dark shape that filled the doorway. A figure stood silhouetted in the weak light, blocking their escape. Panic set in again, and Marcus's blood ran cold. Then, the darkness parted, and the stranger's face came into view, still wearing that mocking grin. Running 1T save you, it only makes the game more interesting. Get away from us. Marcus shouted, thrusting himself protectively in front of Rose. The man chuckled, stepping forward, shrouded in arrogance. Oh, you think I'm a threat? He leaned in, eyes sparkling with malicious glee. You have no idea what is truly at stake here, do you? With every word he spoke, Marcus felt the air thickening, the weight of unspoken horrors hanging above them. What do you know about my father? Tell me. He spat, desperation clawing at his throat. Time will reveal all, the stranger replied, feigning innocence. But what is a little chaos without some fun, eh? As he turned slightly, something glinted in the dim light, a knife, sharp and venomous, hidden at his side. Marcus's stomach dropped. It's not fun for us. Ah, Marcus, you're mistaken, the man said, inching closer. This is very much your game too. His fingers brushed the blade, and Marcus could sense the thrill of power swirling around him. Behind him, a noise echoed through the darkness, louder than before and unmistakably human. Did you hear that? Rose whispered, pulling closer. Marcus held up a hand, straining to listen. Boom! Another crash rang out, shaking the walls around them. Outside, the wind howled, rising like a warning, and suddenly a scream pierced through the night. His heart froze. Rose, we have to go. Now. But as he turned to pull her alongside him, the man's voice rang out behind them, richer with intent. You might find it hard to leave with so many secrets tethering you here. What secrets? What more could unfold in this suffocating maze of shadows? Marcus felt the walls close in, suffocated by uncertainty. He had no choice but to confront this sinister game before it consumed him entirely. As he turned back toward the stranger, rage ignited in his chest. I will find the truth, even if I have to rip it from your throat. The man merely laughed, eyes glinting with malevolence. Then let the game begin. The air thrummed with unspent tension, a moment suspended on the edge of a knife. What awaited them beyond this threshold? Would they finally uncover the horrifying truths hiding in the depths of this night? The pulse of chaos quickened, and in that moment, Marcus understood the game had only just begun. The stranger's laughter echoed, taunting Marcus as he felt a surge of rage and fear coursing through him. He glanced back at Rose, her eyes wide with panic, and knew they couldn't stay there. Not with a predator so close and the darkness closing in. Move! Marcus barked, yanking Rose toward the open door. But at that moment, a heavy weight slammed against the doorway, blocking their escape. What the hell? Rose gasped, her voice barely above a whisper. The figure leaned closer, and in that split second of vulnerability, Marcus glimpsed the darkness within. The man's grin faded, replaced by a predatory intensity that made the hair on Marcus's arms stand up. Where do you think you're going? The man's voice dripped with venom. The game is far from over. Marcus had nowhere to go. Behind them lay an invisible maze of shadows and chaos, and in front of them stood a wall of malevolence. Let us pass. He shouted, trying to mask the tremor in his voice. The man tilted his head, a twisted smile creeping back. Let you go? Oh, no. You're far too important for that. Before Marcus could process the words, Rose screamed. The sound sliced through the air like glass shattering, forcing him to pivot instantly. A blast of wind threw the door wide open, enveloping them. Go! He yelled, as they stumbled into what felt like a blistering storm outside. Rain pummeled down, hammering the ground, the world around them dissolving into sheets of silver. But the chaos behind them was not just metaphorical. The noise of the house grew loud again. The crashing footsteps returned, and the shadows danced with a life of their own. Where now? Rose cried, panic rising in her voice. Follow me. He shouted, but uncertainty gnawed at him. What was out there? Would it be any safer than the horrors lurking inside? They dashed down the rainfall-slicked path, hearts racing, sides heaving. The wind screamed like a banshee around them. Suddenly, in the distance, a shadow separated itself from the trees. The wild woman stood there, wild hair streaked with rain, eyes fierce as she rushed toward them. "Get in quick!" she urged, gesturing them toward an old car hidden in the brush. "Are you crazy?" That was the Marcus started but was interrupted by the crashing sound behind them, echoing like a drumroll of impending doom. "Just trust me," she snapped, and for a moment, Marcus saw desperation in her eyes. They didn't have time to argue. They climbed into the clunky car, panic sparking as the wild woman jumped into the driver's seat. "This may get bumpy," she warned, slamming the door shut. As they sped away, the headlights illuminated the tree line, revealing dark figures watching them, shapes merging into the storm. Marcus felt a chill crawl up his spine. Who were they? What did they want? What in the world is happening? Rose gasped, her voice trembling. "You shouldn't have come here," the wild woman replied, focusing intently on the road. "Your father is part of something much bigger. They're coming for him. And for you." Marcus's heart dropped. "What do you mean?" "I mean, every step you take pulls you deeper into a web of secrets. They will stop at nothing to keep them hidden." Before she could finish, a shout erupted from the trees, and the wild woman slammed on the brakes. The car skidded, rain spraying like a wild beast. Marcus's heart pounded wildly as they all turned to see what had emerged from the shadows. An array of figures appeared, their outlines indistinguishable against the rain and darkness, moving closer and closer. "What are they?" he gasped. "You're about to find out," the wild woman whispered, her face pale, eyes glinting with urgency. The fear of the unknown enveloped them like a thick fog, the air humming with what was yet to come. Just then, a single figure broke away from the pack, stepping into the light. The wind howled, and Marcus's breath caught in his throat. The figure was unmistakable. His father. Marcus's world tilted on its axis as emotion spiraled. What was he doing here? What had Marcus stumbled into? As Marcus's mind raced, the nightmare only deepened. What truth lurked behind those familiar eyes? And why was the storm outside a mirror to the raging chaos within? "Dad!" Marcus shouted, half in disbelief, half in desperation. Fear twisted in his gut as he watched the figure step closer, the rain cascading off his silhouette. For a moment, all noise fell away, the world shrunk to just him and the man he had longed to understand. "Marcus," his father's voice was strained, almost choked with the weight of the storm. "You shouldn't be here. It's not safe." "Not safe?" Marcus's voice raised, confusion colliding with the frantic rhythm of the night. "You think I care about safety? You have to explain. What is going on?" The wild woman turned to Marcus, eyes wide with alarm. "Listen to him. We need to." But before she could finish her sentence, a loud crash erupted from the woods behind them. The dark figures had broken into a full sprint, and the pounding footsteps echoed ominously in the rain-drenched air. Panic surged in Marcus. Everything they had fled from was racing to catch up. "Get back, Marcus!" his father shouted, stepping forward, protective and fierce. "I can't let them have you." The wild woman's expression shifted, a mix of understanding and dread. "We have to go. Now." "But he my father. He here." Marcus countered, emotions flooding through him like the rain around them. "You don't understand. And you don't understand what they'll do to you if they find out." His father's eyes darkened. "Just trust me." A cold wind sliced through the air, and Marcus felt the weight of the rain like lead on his shoulders. The shadows were closing in. He took a hesitant step back, torn between fear for his father and fear of the darkness behind him. "Move!" the wild woman screamed, snapping Marcus from his frozen state. Without thinking, he dove into the car, Rose right behind him, as the cacophony drew near, his father hesitated for a heartbeat before dashing toward the driver's side, almost as if he could sense the utter chaos barreling down on them. As the wild woman slammed the gas pedal, their car lurched forward, tires spinning wildly in the mud. The chaotic rallying of dark figures blurred in the rearview mirror, becoming just shadowy forms engulfing the night. "Where do we go?" Marcus urged, dread swirling in his belly. "Cliffs," the wild woman replied quickly, veering off the path. "They can't follow us there." Clenching his fists on his knees, Marcus stole a glance at his father, who sat silent, apprehension etched on his face. The storm outside raged like the thunderstorm within him. "What truth were you hiding?" he demanded, his voice edged with anger and hurt. "Why were you here? What do you know?" His father's gaze met his, and for the first time, Marcus saw the fear and regret echoing in those familiar eyes. "Things are more complicated than you think, son. You were never supposed to be part of this." The car sped past overgrown trees, whipping around corners that felt like they would betray them at any moment. Marcus could hear the distant calls of shadows merging with the storm, chasing them into the unknown. "Stop talking in circles," Marcus shouted, desperation clawing at him. "Just tell me." His father inhaled sharply, and the wild woman's grip on the wheel tightened. "There are things you don't understand. The world I was part of, it's dark, Marcus. More dark than you can imagine." Suddenly, a violent jerk shook the car, then another. They were narrowly missing branches that reached out like claws. The shadows were still coming, relentless. "They'll stop at nothing to keep you from this truth," his father yelled, urgency spilling into his words. "You must hide. You need to hide." Marcus shot back, rage fueling his voice. "You think I'm going to hide? I want to understand. I refuse to be a pawn in this twisted game." At that moment, a piercing scream cut through the air, a chilling sound, filled with a mix of fear and fury. It forced them all to turn back. Someone was being left behind. Marcus's heart dropped. He turned his head, dread flooding his system. Was that? In the midst of the darkness, another shadow broke free from the packed figures. This one was frantically waving, running toward them. "Get back!" the wild woman screamed, her voice a raw edge of panic, but it was too late. No one was safe anymore. As the truth of who was left behind sank in, Marcus made a decision he could never take back. "Stop the car!" he shouted, his voice roaring above the storm. "Are you insane?" The wild woman's eyes widened with terror. "I have to do this." As the tires screeched, the car lurched to a halt, and all eyes focused on the shadow racing toward them. What desperate chance lay waiting in the rain-soaked chaos? And would it lead to salvation or further ruin? "Marcus, no!" his father shouted, but the words were lost to the deafening rain that hammered on the roof of the car like a multitude of fists. Wind screeched through the open windows, mixing with the howls of shadowy figures drawing near. Marcus's heart pounded in his chest as he flung open the passenger door. The world outside morphed into a chaotic blur of rain, darkness, and the creaking sounds of branches. He could barely make out the frantic movements of the shadow now rushing toward him, someone he had to save, someone who might have information that could change everything. "Get back here!" the wild woman yelled, her voice tinged with panic. Ignoring the command, Marcus stepped into the downpour, soaked to the bone in an instant. Every nerve in his body screamed at him to turn back, to jump into the safety of the car and drive away. But something inside him, a desperate need for clarity, for answers, pushed him forward into the storm. "Marcus!" Rose shouted, her tone sharp and full of fear. The shadow grew closer, and he could finally distinguish features that seemed alarmingly familiar. It was a woman, drenched and wild-eyed, darting through the dark, her face lined with terror. "Help me!" she cried out. "Please! They're coming for me!" Recognition hit him like a lightning bolt. It was his childhood friend, Lily, the girl he used to play with before everything changed. Lily! Marcus yelled back, feeling both relief and disbelief. What happened? Why are you? But before he could finish, a thunderous roar erupted from the woods behind her. Shadows coalesced into forms, and they were coming fast. The wild woman's warning echoed in his mind, but he couldn't let his friend go like this. Come on, he urged, stretching out his hand. Lily stumbled closer, eyes wide with terror, but just as she reached for him, a figure lunged from the shadows. In the blink of an eye, a mass of limbs and darkness slammed into her, yanking her into the depths of the forest. No! The word ripped from Marcus's throat as he lunged forward, but the wild woman grabbed his arm with a grip that felt unforgiving. Stop! We can't save her, Marcus. But the scream inside him was a hollow echo of despair. The moment seemed to freeze. The world was chaos, yet time felt suspended as he watched his childhood flash away before his eyes. Let me go! He bellowed, jerking free from her grasp. With a determination he didn't know he had, he sprinted into the fray, the rain pounding against him like the wrath of an enraged storm. He pushed through the underbrush, branches clawing at him, every instinct screaming that he was running into danger. The pounding footsteps of the pursuers thudded behind him. They were relentless. Shadows danced at the edges of his vision as he pushed on, driven by desperation. He would not leave her behind, not again. That in a clearing, he skidded to a halt, vision flickering as he searched for Lily. His heart sank when he saw her struggling against three shadowy figures, desperately trying to break free. Marcus! She shouted, her voice cracking. Hold on! He rushed forward, adrenaline spiking as he prepared to fight for her, but the wild woman's words reverberated in his mind. Things are darker than you think. What darkness had engulfed Lily? What had she become? And as he approached, a chilling realization seeped into his every thought. These weren't just regular shadowy figures, they looked familiar. Panic surged again, taking hold of him. Who were these monsters? Who had they become? Marcus felt the ground shake underfoot. This was no ordinary fight. He was about to uncover a truth that would change everything. Marcus! Lily cried again, and in that moment, a horrifying roar erupted from the woods, drowning out all reason. Would he make it in time to save her? Or, in his quest for truth, would he fall deeper into the darkness? Marcus's heart thudded louder than the storm, each beat a reminder that time was slipping away. He could see Lily struggling, her eyes wide with fear, and for a second, everything else faded. The cold rain, the wild woman's warning, the growls lurking in the dark. Lily! He shouted again, desperation dripping from his voice. He charged through the mud, each step feeling heavier under the weight of his urgency. The shadowy figures grasping at Lily seemed almost monstrous, distorted versions of people he once knew. They twisted and writhed in the darkness, faces obscured by shadow, but even more unsettling were their postures, alien and predatory. Get away from her! Marcus screamed, pushing forward, fists clenched, but they didn't flinch. Instead, they turned their empty eyes toward him. The sight sent icy tendrils of fear coiling around his spine. Marcus, please! Lily cried out, pulling futilely against their hold. That he hesitated for a fraction of a second, and it felt like an eternity. That hesitation cost him dearly. The figures lunged at him with sudden, ferocious speed. Marcus barely saw the first blow coming. A fist, hard as stone, caught him on the side of the jaw, sending him crashing to the wet ground. Stunned, he looked up to see Lily screaming, thrashing in a panic. Stay back! He rasped, fighting to rise, but his legs felt numb. An overwhelming sense of dread washed over him. He had to act. He had to find a way to save her. The storm raged on, a wild backdrop to the chaos unfolding. But even amidst the roar of the tempest, a new sound emerged, a low growl that seemed to vibrate through the very ground beneath them. The earth trembled again, stronger this time. What is that? The wild woman's voice cut through the noise, laced with trepidation. She emerged from the shadows behind him, her wild hair plastered to her face, eyes wide with terror. The shadowy figures seemed momentarily distracted, glancing toward the source of the growl, but they were still holding Lily tight, like something they had claimed. She was trapped. Get away from her! Marcus roared, this time with a confidence that surged through him, ignited by fear and love. He scrambled to his feet. Mustering all his strength, he launched himself at the nearest figure, fists swinging. He connected, hard and quick, but it felt like hitting a concrete wall. Lily! He called again. I'm coming. He fought blindly, feeling punches land on him, pain blossoming like fire in his side and ribs. But he didn't stop. He pressed on, fueled by adrenaline and the desperate need to pull Lily back into safety. Each hard, heavy breath filled his lungs with a mix of rain and fear, but he couldn't let it suffocate him. Suddenly, the growl swelled into a shriek that sliced through the air. The shadowy figures recoiled, their forms flickering like candle flames in a gust of wind. Marcus seized the moment, barreling into the thick of the chaos, but then everything changed, the shadows dissolved in on themselves, swirling like smoke caught in a gust. They seemed to pull back, revealing a wider path, and something even darker came creeping forward. It was massive and looming, an inky silhouette that filled him with dread. What is that? He gasped, eyes wide, fear clawing at his thoughts like a predator. At fast speed, the enormous form rushed toward them, throat vibrating with a low growl, a creature he couldn't identify, yet it felt instinctively predatory. It lunged toward the shadows, sweeping them away like dust, then suddenly paused to focus on him and Lily. Run! Lily whispered, breathless and terrified, but there was nowhere to flee. Marcus felt rooted to the spot, helpless against the unfolding surge of terror. What had he stepped into? The creature's eyes flickered an unearthly hue, locking onto Marcus, and he knew in that moment the truth was coming. Could he handle it? Or was he about to face a revelation that would change everything he thought he knew? The beast loomed closer, its presence sending a shiver of fear down Marcus's spine. Massive and shrouded in shadows, it roared an earth-shaking sound that shattered the night like glass. The adrenaline coursed through him. He would not let fear consume him. He took a step forward, clenching his fists. Lily! Hold on! The creature's eyes narrowed at him, reflecting an unsettling intelligence as it danced in the flickering light of the storm. The shadowy figures began to retreat, their grip on Lily loosening just enough for her to gasp. Marcus! She cried. Get out of here! Not without you! He shouted back, his heart racing, the weight of 1,000 emotions flooding through him. The world around them spun into chaos, the winds howling as they clashed against the storm. With a guttural growl, the creature lunged toward Marcus, and instinct kicked in. He ducked to the side, adrenaline fueling every move. It was now or never. One chance to break the hold of the darkness. But just as he reached Lily, the wild woman appeared again, her face set with determination. Get her! Now! She shouted, shoving him toward Lily. They grappled, fingers intertwining as they broke free from the grasp of the shadows which stirred in frustration, writhing in fear of the looming presence behind them. And in that moment, Marcus felt an unexpected surge of strength, a bond deeper than friendship, a connection that surged between them like electricity. The creature roared once more, sending tremors through the ground, and as the shadows fled, Marcus sensed a shift in the air. They were standing at the edge of a precipice, the truth hanging heavy above them like a storm cloud about to burst. Stand together! The wild woman yelled, falling into line beside them. Why are you helping us? Marcus shot back, confusion swirling. What have you been hiding? It's not about me, she said, her voice steady. It's about the truth. The truth of your father, of why they're after you. Suddenly, it clicked in Marcus's mind. This is all connected, the family secrets, the darkness, my father, yes. she shouted, urging them to focus. "Trust me just this once. Your father, he made powerful enemies who will do anything to keep this hidden." As if sensing their realization, the creature paused, its terrifying gaze flicking toward the wild woman, calculating. This was no ordinary beast. It was a guardian of truths, an entity entangled in the web of their fates. "We have to," Marcus started, but another noise broke through the night, a cacophony coming from the depths of the forest. It was them. The shadows were back, and they weren't alone. "Now!" the wild woman urged, rushing them forward. Following her lead, Marcus grasped Lily's hand, pulling her with him. They dashed toward a break in the trees, snow and rain splashing against their cheeks. Heart pounding, they broke through the tree line, emerging onto the muddy cliffside that overlooked a surging ocean. "Hold on!" the wild woman commanded, her voice slicing through the tempest. "I need you to trust me." But instead of looking back, Marcus turned to Lily, seeing the fear mirrored in her eyes. "I'll get you out of this. I promise." "Marcus, listen," she pleaded, "you can't save everyone. Let us just go." "No," he insisted. "This isn't how it ends. I need to learn the truth." And as they huddled close, the shadows now cascading onto the cliffside as if directed by an unseen force, the creature sprang back into view, roaring with intensity, seeming to protect them. "Your father," the wild woman shouted. "He is part of this, an integral part, but you need to face it to untangle this nightmare." With the wind screaming around them, a flash of lightning illuminated the cliff, and for the briefest moment, time stood still. In that electric moment, the shadows hesitated, caught off guard. Marcus understood. They were terrified of the truth that loomed behind him, of the choice he had to make. "Lily, we have to confront them. Gather your strength," he yelled, his voice carrying over the noise of the ocean. As the darkness encroached, Marcus steadied himself, burning with newfound resolve. If he was to uncover the truth about his father, he would have to dive into that darkness, become part of the story that had entwined them all. "Stand together," the wild woman cried, forming a barrier around them. "We'll face it together," he shouted, feeling the shared strength of the others echoing in his veins. Then, with the beast rallying in support behind them, they readied themselves for the confrontation. As the shadow slithered forward, Marcus stepped boldly into the fray, feeling the magnitude of the moment pulse through him. He would confront the truth, unearth every secret, and rewrite the ending of this dark tale. And with that decision, the storm raged on, but for the first time, it felt like a hopeful beginning rather than a terrifying end. The shadows drew closer, but Marcus could finally see them clearly, faces of family, friends, betrayal. He wouldn't allow fear to dictate their fate any longer. With urgency fueling him and the warm connection of allies at his side, he began to carve out his place in the truth that awaited. The game was not just about survival, it was about uncovering what had festered in the dark. They would rise together, united to face whatever lay beyond the storm. But for now, one thing was clear, they would be heard. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories evolving from this saga. Smash that like button now. Let us feed the algorithm together. Flood the comments with your reactions, theories about the ending, and what you think could happen next. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Support the channel because only true fans understand the importance of this amazing journey.